Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our stream, The Ruins of Warsaw, after the summer break. We're very happy to be back here to continue our Vampire the Masquerade story and jump into the 39th episode of our chronicle. I'm Alexandra, and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores, and I'm playing Janina of Camarilla.
Hi, my name is Faye, and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
Thank you so much for joining us back after summer. We needed some time away to sort out various life things, but now we are hopefully ready to go back to regularly playing VTM, and we really appreciate your continued support for our story and our stream. As always, we have partners taking care of our tech and acting as keeper of the Elysium. So you can interact with him in the chat. He'll be around there. And since it's been so long, let's start with a quick recap of where we left off before summer. So we are coming back to the story after an attack by Sabat on Hotel Bristol, where Warsaw Camarilla resides. During the attack, Bea and Janina got involved in some of the fighting. First, trying to help Ventru, Cornelia, and second, rushing to the attic to save and protect Dominic, the Nosferatu dancer, and a toreador, Diana, the child of the sheriff. Janina got there first, Bea a little bit later. And they weren't able to find Dominic, who, as they later found out, had been taken by a man they previously saw at the house of a Zinishi lady they encountered. But through fighting Arek, a gangrel who used to belong to Bea's old coterie but betrayed it when he defected to Sabat, Janina and Bea, with the help of Abelard, the sire of Mara and Dominic, they managed to capture Arek and handed him off to the sheriff. The attack did not entirely succeed. The Camarilla was able to defend itself. Some of the Kindred lost their lives. Fabian, a toreador who has been a partner of Cornelia, died, as did Elka, the Bruja Hound, and Leonard, a Malkavian that the coterie brought to Hotel Bristol and helped save. Many people were injured. Antoni, the Ventru Hound, who has been a contact and somewhat of an ally to the coterie, was put in torpor. And the mood was quite anxious, quite sad. Many of the people dwelling at Hotel Bristol, the Kindred, were distressed by what happened. The next night, the coterie reconnected with some of their friends who survived and learned more about the fate of others. Bea also got a chance to speak with her primogen, Incertum, who, at first, in a conversation with Ventru Primogen, who inquired about some of the information delivered by Bea, who then denied ever talking to Bea about any of it. And later, the Malkavian Primogen, in a private conversation with Bea, after explaining to have a bit of their views on not necessarily needing to share all the information with everybody, persuaded her to forget it and made her remove the pages related to the information about the terrifying presence under the city of Warsaw, remove it from her journal. The night after the attack was also marked by another sad event, where Bruno, a Malkavian broodmate of Felicia, Bea's sire, a pianist who's been playing at the Elysium on most of the nights, has been first accused of siring new children without permission, something that was specifically forbidden to him even more strongly than it generally is. And despite the plea from the Toreador Primogen and a very emotional protest from Isidore, a Bruja and a leader of what is left of the anarchs, Bruno was sentenced to death and executed. And after walking him to the balcony where he was left for the sun, the coterie went back, Bea going back to her sire, and Janina with Nastia, her Bruja friend, or maybe more, went back to Janina's room and basically collapsed on the floor in distress, holding each other. And that was where we left off, with our small coterie falling asleep after many sad traumatic events. And we will start, as usual, with Janina, who is the first to wake up. You open your eyes, you feel the pain of your wounds from 2 nights ago, when the claws of a gangrel are ripped through your body. You are lying on the floor, you feel Nastia's arms wrapped around you as she's hugging you, was trying to comfort you and be close to you when you fell asleep.
She's still asleep?
She is still sleeping.
Okay. Then I will wrap my hands tighter around her and just lie there and smell her hair.
So you're going closer to her, holding her closer, smelling her hair. What is going through your head as you do this?
I don't know, I think I just think about everyone else that we lost along the way so far. No, not. I just try to find comfort and having someone to cuddle to.
And some time passes like this. You hear some steps in the corridors of the hotel. No one coming to your room, just people passing somewhere in the distance, moving around the building. You hear someone shouting to someone to stop somewhere outside. You hear some laughter. You hear the sound of horses' hoofs as some horse-drawn carriage goes past. And eventually, Nastia stares and opens her eyes. And she, at first, is maybe not quite recognizing where she is, but she sees your face and she smiles. And continues hugging you.
I just think continue hugging her in silence for 5 minutes, unless she starts to talk.
She continues hugging you for a moment. One of her hands absentmindedly moves, stroking your hair very gently once, and then she pauses as if she realized what she's done and is looking to see how you react.
I just smile at her and put her hand back on my hair.
She continues stroking it.
I will stroke her hair as well.
She looks like she almost wants to say something, but she doesn't. She keeps stroking your hair very gently, looking at you with a little bit of a question in her face.
I'm just gonna say to her that I'm glad that you're here with me.
I'm glad. Yes, I'm glad you're here with me too.
How are you feeling?
I'm not sure. Still processing, I suppose.
Yes, it's such a loss. Like we didn't lost me. And I was he's gonna be missed.
Dolores, you're very quiet. I don't know if...
Sorry. Is it better?
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess I just forgot how to talk to the mic.
Alright.
So I'm just like sitting here talking very quietly, like I usually do normally.
Can you just repeat the last thing you said? I only caught
Yes,
a little bit
sure.
of that. Sorry.
I said, and I will repeat it. I think I said that I was said about Bruno that he will be missed, that he was a good man.
Nastia says, well, I didn't really know him, but he played very beautifully.
Yes, I can say that I knew him as well as his child, but we talked and he was really nice to me. And he really seemed like a good person. Really hope that wherever he is, that he's happy and free.
I hope so. But you see some doubt or maybe deep thought in her face, like she's thinking about what you said and not really finding an answer.
I guess I will get up and I will go look out of the window, just like quickly to assess the situation inside.
So you stand up. She lets you out of her embrace and stands up with you. You walk up to the window. It is a clear night. Moonlight lights the city. There is a little bit of snow somewhere on the ground. But it looks like most of it had melted by now. It must have fallen during the day. There are a few people walking past. You see a couple of militiamen hanging out in the street outside the window. You see another horse-drawn carriage walk past, few people in it, going somewhere. You see someone ride past on a bike. Life goes on in the city.
Maybe think about Bruno again when I look at the moon in the sky. And then I turn to Nastia and ask her she has any plans.
I really don't know what to do right now. Stay here, I suppose.
You're always welcome to stay here with me in this room, in the hotel, I guess. But if you meant like this room, you're free to stay here.
I meant the hotel. I wouldn't want to presume, but I enjoy your company a lot.
Me too. You and Bea, Daniel, and my closest people.
She smiles at you.
Which leads me that we probably should check on Bea. I hope she'll be up already.
And Nastya just nods to that. And speaking of Bea, Bea, you are running through the city, discovered in thick hot smoke. You can barely see the way ahead of you, but you keep running. Your hands and knees are bleeding from the times when you fell on the rubble, scratching your skin off, and on the shards of glass from the shattered windows that cut through your skin, their tiny pieces sticking in your skin. The blood and ash are hot on your skin. Your lungs burn, but you keep running, with the deafening sound of bombs ringing in your ears. There are people running past you, pushing you out of the way, as you're running in the opposite direction, towards the fire and the bombs. You're desperate to find someone whose face you don't even remember. You want to shout their name, but it's gone from your head, but you keep running. You know you need to run further into the smoke and fire. Someone shoves you to the side, and you fall again. You hit your head on a fragment of some shattered wall. You feel blood in your mouth, but you make yourself stand up and stagger forward and then start running again, barely keeping your balance, as more and more people run past you, push you, run into you, shove you to the side if you don't get out of the way. The crowds get tighter and bigger. You can barely squeeze past people. You try to maneuver between them, but as they run, they bump into you. They grab you to throw you out of the way, and eventually you fall as someone just pushes you to get you out from when they're running. You fall, you get tangled in the limbs of people and bodies that fall on you, crushing you under their weight. You try to move and free yourself, to squeeze out, to keep going to where you needed to go, even though you're not sure where you were meant to go. You just know it's ahead. But you can't move, you can't get out as you struggle against a mass of limbs and bodies wrapping itself tighter and tighter around you. You wake up. You feel someone hugging you quite tightly.
I'm already trying to pull away, trying to get away from the physical contact, trying to get away from this trapped sensation.
I'd say you can get out of Felicia's hug. As you're pulling out, you try to crawl out of it, roll off the bed. Maybe you feel Felicia's hands that have been squeezed very tightly on some of your sleeping gown, on fragments of it. You need to sort of tear it out to get free. You see briefly her face that is at the moment covered in dried out bloody tears, some new ones coming through, and you manage to get yourself free, roll over the bed.
I think I collapsed to the floor in a seated position, and crawl back so that my spine is up against the wall. And I take a moment to compose myself and try to
It is that. And you were able to wash your face, you practice, smile on the mirror that is still cracked from when you smashed it. You don't remember maybe smashing it, but there is a crack on the mirror. And you are ready to go after, I imagine, a longer while than usual. As you do, she starts staring basically as you move to sit near her. She at first shivers a little bit, then opens her eyes, looks around as if confused, and then her eyes meet your face, and she focuses on you and smiles, while her face is still covered in bloody tears, some still fresh ones running from her eyes. But she smiles very warmly.
I'd like to roll a self-control check so I can touch her.
Go ahead. It was, I believe, difficulty 5 for Felicia.
Mm-hmm. I'm at penalties for this?
No, not for self-control.
Not for self-control. Okay. Okay, I have a success. So I will reach forward and stroke her cheek. Hello, Mother.
Hello, darling.
Did you sleep well?
No, not so much. And you see her, kind of her body tightens a little bit. But she struggles to keep the smile on her face. It's going to be difficult. Few nights ahead of me. I might have to go on a stroll to clear my head. Well, I suppose I shouldn't stray too far. It's dangerous. And you see her be a little bit confused at this moment, like she's thinking what to do, and pauses.
I continue to stroke her cheek, and after a little moment I say, well, if you'd like company on a walk, I'm happy to come with you. And I'm here for you, Mother.
Well, we might do that later. She looks to you. She's like, I need to compose myself. I must be looking a mess.
It's
And
alright.
she moved almost as if she wanted to stand up at this point, but she turns again to you and strokes your hair. And strokes it and pauses for a moment and keeps her hand. It's not quite tightening on your head, but it just stays there, as if it was about to grasp your head more tightly. It's good to have you back with me.
I'm glad to be back with you. I'm sorry we were separated for so long.
So am I. The Primogen, when I found them, wouldn't let me come back. Not until, well, I suppose they deemed it safe.
I lean my head into the hand that's by my hair.
And her hand relaxes a little bit at that and strokes you more gently. But then excuses herself to go to the bathroom. And you hear water running in the tap as she starts washing the tears off her face. Janina, you were heading to find Bea, was that right? Yeah, Nastia is following you, and you reach the door to Felicia's room where Bea is staying. So Bea, as Felicia disappears in the bathroom, you hear knocking on the door. And you see Janina and Nastia standing there.
I just hope I can be there for her.
Of course, if there's anything that I could do for her, for you, let me know.
Thank you, darling. I think I need to be with her a bit longer. I shouldn't have stayed away from her so long.
It's not your fault. Just things happened.
Of course.
I knew that this about will happen, and that Bruno would die. Well, I guess you want to stay with Felicia right now.
We'll hopefully come out a little bit later, but it's good to see you and see that you're all right, all things considered.
I really hope things will get, I guess, better. Hard to know.
Don't we all?
I really hope Felicia will be able to cope, to something, get herself into shape to everything that she wants to. So
Well,
I guess do want us to leave you two alone.
Just for now, but I do hope to catch up with you later this evening.
Right. I'd probably be either in my room or in the Elysium.
Okay. I'll hope to see you soon. And take care of yourselves and stay out of trouble.
We'll try. And blink at that.
Such a lie. I'm sorry.
Valid.
Yeah.
All right, so Janina, having agreed that Bea will join you later, what are your plans?
I look at Nastya and I guess I will offer her that we can go to do something for Zygmunt. I don't know. For now, in the Elysium, and depending on what mood and people will be there, we could decide if we could go to his place or to.
Yeah. You remember that Zygmunt mentioned something about saving some bodies for you to do some research on the blood bank. He hasn't given you the details yet. It's just something he mentioned. But you know that he will likely want you to get going on.
All right.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
No, it's fine. That's why
Janina
I'm bringing it up.
Janina
would remember because it was
Janina hasn't had 2 months away.
Yeah.
She's fresh as a corpse can be. Okay.
But yeah, like Nastya says, yes, we can go through the papers again at the Elysium, if you would like.
Yes, and then we can get started on Zygmunt. Said to us last night. Let's go see who's there.
Let's do that. And she walks with you towards the Elysium, which now, after the Sabbath attack, is in a different room, one floor up from the previous one, the room where you and your sisters were introduced to the Camarilla when you first arrived at Hotel Bristol.
So long time ago.
It was even more so for us. And you start heading there. Meanwhile, Bea, you wait for your sire. What's going through your head as you do?
This need to feel close to her, this need to make something up to her. I'm not entirely sure what, but when she went to grip me earlier, I held still because I felt like I deserved it. And if that's what she needs to feel better, then I'll be that for her. So I'm just wanting to make the nights a bit easier for her. I'm also worrying. I feel like there's things that I want to do, but I can't quite recall what they were. There's people that I'm looking for that I'm worried about. I saw in my notes about Rahela, and I want to find her and check on her, but I don't know if she'll be anywhere findable at the moment, or whether she'd want to see me.
And you wait with those thoughts. And it doesn't take very long for Felicia to come out. She has put on her makeup. She looks, as usual, fairly elegant. Her grey long hair is pinned up in a very neat bun. She put on a white blouse and a beige jacket, very elegant one to go with it, and a beige skirt that matches. She looks very put together, but there is certain tenseness to her movements, certain hesitation that you, being so attuned to her, would definitely see at this moment. It's fairly noticeable, although she is trying to at least create this appearance as much as she can.
This is familiar to me in some senses, although maybe never quite to this extreme. But I'll walk up to her and take her hand.
And she takes your hand. She kind of sits back on the bed.
Mm-hmm. I'll follow her.
She wanted to sort of sit, she almost collapses on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm afraid it's not going to be the best few nights for me going forward. There's so much that happened. Well, I suppose everyone is healing. Well, or trying to, at least.
Of course, I understand.
She reaches for your hand. She squeezes it fairly tightly. It's not painful, but it is very tight, almost desperate.
Mm-hmm.
I can't lose you, Bea. I don't know what I would do without you.
I couldn't lose you. And I'll lean forward and rest my head on her shoulder.
And she, very gently places her hand on your shoulder, hugging you, but not too tightly at this moment. Just in the very fingertips, you feel them going a little bit more into your skin, just not to the level where it would be painful, but very desperate, wanting to keep you close, to make sure almost that you're there.
And I'll stay there as long as she needs me to.
She just sits like this for a moment, and then straightens a little bit. I'm afraid I don't quite know what to do with myself right now. I suppose I should go and see if there's any more tasks to be done. I found the Primogen. And there's something more that she almost wants to say, but she catches herself and she doesn't. But there was this look of maybe... roll perception and empathy. Why not? Let's see. That is actually warranted in this case. Difficulty is 6. Sorry?
We can hear you.
No, there's some... Oh. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no. All right, well, let's, in the meantime, as hopefully it will get fixed, go back to Janina.
Sure.
So, Janina, you walk towards Elysium with Nastia. You approach the door to the room. And as you walk in, you see, again, the same room you saw last night, where the court gathered before Bruno was executed. And you see there are a few people there of the Toreadors who always seem to be in the Elysium. There is Mihail Orlov, the Primogen, sitting in an armchair, fairly relaxed, looking over the room, wearing elegant, fairly simple black suits, but with red decorated with some patterns, cravat tied around his neck, and a few other red accents, a ring, a bracelet on another hand in his outfit. Next to him is Stefania, another Toreador, in an elegant black dress as well, and there's one single string of pearls running across her neck. And they're just sitting there. Occasionally she leans in closer to Mihail. She's kind of resting in an armchair as well, still struggling to move a little bit. You remember she was quite seriously hurt during the attack. you see the sheriff, Lucian Topolsky, there, talking at the moment to Abelard, the sire of Dominic, who got taken, and Mara. And you see Conrad, a toreador you recently brought to Hotel Bristol, together with Futremir, that you found. And you see him sitting with one of them, the woman, Magdalena, and they are very much in the corner together, leaning very closely to each other, whispering something to each other, and they are holding hands like that very, very tightly. You also see Rahela sitting with Eliza in one of the tables, and
Sorry, can you please repeat who I see, because my internet is a bit low today and I
all right,
didn't catch.
The last one you didn't catch.
Yes, the last one.
The last one is Rahela. She's there with Eliza. Rahela is just sitting, kind of curled up. Yes, Eliza is hugging her. And you enter with Nastia. There's also a few other people you don't recognize, but that's about it from who might be of interest to you.
Trying to, well, if I catch Raquel's glance, then I will give her a little nod and a little comforting smile. If not, then I will just look at Lucian and Abelard, and I want to sit somewhere nearby so I could try to hear what they're talking about.
All right. So, Rahela, sorry, Faye, we can't hear you. Rahela catches your smile, and she looks like she wants to smile back, but she can't quite, and then she just turns towards Eliza, who hugs her more closely, and you see Rahela kind of shake as if she was crying. And you want to move closer to Sheriff and Abelard to eavesdrop on their conversation. Do you care if they realize you're doing that?
I don't.
It's going so well.
I think they
Tech hate us.
Okay, now we hear you.
We can hear Faye.
Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, I couldn't hear the last thing Dolores said, though. So,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, everyone. It wouldn't be our stream without Tech hating on us.
Okay, I don't think Janina cares much, because I think she thinks about it in a way that they must know that she wants to help, and she only wants to eavesdrop if they are talking about Dominic and what they are going to do. If it's something unrelated, she isn't interested in.
Okay, let me put it differently. Do you want to roll for some kind of stealth or something?
Yeah. Let me roll.
Roll your well, you're not quite sneaking in this way. Roll your let's say stealth, wits and stealth, let's say. With difficulty 7.
Okay, my penalty.
Or actually difficulty 6, and I'm just gonna roll for them. Yeah, remember your penalties.
Yeah.
You're still seriously hurt.
I have 4 successes.
You have 4 successes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so the sheriff is turned more with his back to you. He doesn't seem to notice that you're there. He's just standing very focused on Abelard or glancing around a little bit. But Abelard catches your eye and for a moment stops, pauses looking at your face. But he doesn't make any comments. And you can hear a part of their conversation. Abelard is saying at this point, that's all I've been able to learn so far. I wasn't able to follow them. They got into a car, and he describes the car with like a standard black car that you see a lot around. But I will keep looking. We will find him. And you'll hear the sheriff say, I appreciate your help in this. And he glances around. And he notices you at this point, but he doesn't really seem to mind. But he looks around, says, I will see what else I can learn from others, and we'll talk later. And Abelard gives a glance around as well and says, of course, you can count on me. And then he says, I know you don't like me, but we don't have to like each other. And Sheriff says, indeed we don't. But gives a little bit of a smile. And they part with a slight bow.
Then I will turn my attention back to Nastya.
You turn your attention back to Nastya. Let's go back to Bea very quickly.
Yeah,
because we got interrupted in that. So
yes,
you were
by my
rolling.
microphone.
You were rolling perception and empathy.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. I'm at penalties from both my nightmares and my injuries.
Yes.
Okay. Grand. In which case, not those. Trying to read dice in the dark is always a challenge. Sorry, what was my difficulty?
6.
6. Okay, that is 4 successes.
4 successes. So you can't quite... Oh no, sorry. There was one wonder. You actually can, tell that as she mentions the Primogen and she pauses, and there is certain disapproval or disappointment or hurt. It's very faint. You can't really see more than that, but there's definitely something along those lines that she isn't saying.
In which case, I'll just slightly squeeze her hand, pause for a moment, and then go, They hurt you?
No, not. Not directly.
Okay. I'm sorry, I shouldn't pry.
I'm sure Primogen has good reasons for everything they do. I shouldn't pry too much. And you see that she isn't quite convinced, but she's trying to convince herself.
I'm with you.
I'm glad.
Shall we show face, then?
Let's. I suppose we might as well see that we're still there. See who else is around.
I'll offer her my arm.
But she takes it.
Head towards Elysium, although it probably takes some reminding for me to remember where upstairs rather than in a
Yes,
spot.
you get a little bit confused on the way, but Felicia remembers, and she's leading you towards the right place. And as you enter, you see Sheriff and Abelard just finishing talking, giving slight bow and parting ways, and Sheriff moving towards the exit from Elysium. You see Janina sitting nearby, fairly close to where they were conversing with Nastia. You see the other people I described unchanged, except around the moment when you enter, you also see that Rahela is there with Eliza, and they're speaking to each other. And you see through the other door leading deeper into the hotel, you see Edwin Cernovsky, someone, well, I don't know what memories that would spark in Bea. Some recognition.
A little bit of recognition, I think. No strong feelings, I think, yet.
Yeah.
But recognition.
So you see him enter, this man, and he walks up towards Eliza and Rahela. He doesn't come right to them, but he stands a little bit in the distance, and you hear him say, Miss Leszczyńska, can I please speak with you? And Eliza raises her head and straightens, and she glances back to Rahela, but then it hugs her a little, once more, but then whispers something towards her and stands up, coming up to Mr. Cernovsky, and he just starts walking out the same way he entered, and she starts following. She looks back over her shoulder at Rahela, but then she leaves with him.
At this time, my gaze is quite focused on Rahela, and I'll turn to Mother and say, I should check in with her. I imagine she's hurting.
She says, of course, my dear, of course, you go ahead.
I squeeze her hand slightly and then move to go join Rahela.
Janina, you turned towards Nastia. And around this time, you also see Bea and Felicia enter.
I'll try to catch Bea's glance, and if I see her, I'll smile at her. And then Felicia as well. And then I see, if I notice that scene with Eliza and Raquel, then I guess I let Bea go to Raquel, as I don't want to impose myself.
Of course. You notice it, and you see Bea heading Rahela's way. Nastia looks to you. You sure you don't want to join them?
Yes, it's okay, I think. I'm closer to Raquel than I am. I want to let them have their chat. And I have you. And I smiled at her.
Yes, I suppose that's true.
So, and I will. Do we have the things that we are working on with us?
Yeah, you could have. I imagined you would have stopped to pick up some of these papers. And Nastia takes them out, as you say, so, and just spreads it on the table. And these are the languages you can't read, but she can. So, she says, "Oh, I remember we last were here," and starts explaining to you what's written there, and helping you understand more on this research that's been happening on establishing blood banks and also extracting blood from recently deceased people to be stored there.
I guess I've been trying to like pay attention to what she says, but sometimes I just like think that she's cute as she explaining it, and I sometimes lose myself and just like ask her.
All right, so you do that for a moment. Meanwhile, Bea, you approach Rahela, who looks towards you.
I give her a small, hesitant smile.
She nods to you. She doesn't quite smile.
Do you mind if I sit with you?
She just shakes her head.
I'll sit down next to her. I'll also make a self-control check to see if I can touch her.
Of course. It's difficulty 7 for Rahela.
Okay. I have 2 successes.
No problem.
Okay. And I'll put a hand on her shoulder. I know there's not really much that can be said that can make any of this better, but I'm here for you.
She nods her head. Thank you. You see few tears appear in her eyes, and she angrily wipes them away, and she kind of moves closer to as if hug you, also to hide her face from everyone.
I will turn my body so that it's covering her a bit more and just hold her close.
Thank you.
Of course. Anytime.
I lost so many already.
I understand. And I'll just sit there quietly with her and see if she wants to share anything else, but otherwise I'll just be there for her.
She's pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm.
She sometimes looks up to you, and she doesn't quite hug you, she doesn't quite lean into you fully.
Mm-hmm.
She's almost trying to keep some of the physical distance, but as you do touch her arm, she kind of touches your arm back, and her hand stays there, and she looks up to you from time to time, and she almost tries to say something, but it looks like she just can't.
I'll very quietly say, take all the time you need. And
I'm sorry, there's not much to say. He's gone. I need to. I need. And she stops, like she can't say it.
I'm here for you. And there are others who are here for you as well. You aren't alone. And I'm so sorry.
And she looks to you, and there's a real perception and empathy. Why not?
Yeah.
Will insightful apply?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
That would be 4 successes.
Yeah, absolutely. You do see that she is grateful for your company. She finds some comfort in it. She is very deeply distraught, obviously. She is scared. She almost seems lost, like she doesn't know what to focus on, and she focuses on you in this moment. But she tries to keep herself together as much as she can, and she's very focused on it, and there's a little bit frustration in there that she's obviously not succeeding. And she very clearly doesn't want, like, in one way she finds comfort in your company, but in the other she doesn't want to show any distress and knows that's impossible, so it's like wrapped up in all those emotions.
Okay. In which case I'd like to subtly slide my handkerchief to her, so if she wants to wipe her face a bit better. And again, I'll keep her relatively sheltered from any other eyes, and I'll look up over her head so I'm not looking at her, and just let her compose herself to the best of her abilities.
She takes a handkerchief and she does clean her face and wipes under her eyes as much as she can, almost angrily, almost too hard, and then returns it and says, "Thank you."
Of course. And I'll pocket it again. No, I'll glance around the room, and I think it's at this point I actually notice Janina. So I think I was very fixated on Rahela when I saw her.
You do notice Janina sitting at the table with Nastya, looking over some papers. You see that Mikhail is looking towards you and Rahela. You see that Felicia briefly spoke to the sheriff as he was leaving, but now he's leaving, like, the room.
I'll nod politely to Mikhail, and if the sheriff glances at me, although I presume he's not, if he glances at me,
He's gone.
Cool, great. Then I don't do anything there.
But Mikhail acknowledges, nods to you as well.
And then otherwise I'll look to Janina and Nastya. With a little bit of curiosity.
You see him sitting there, and you see, well, you would not recognize him, a man in the fairly elegant embroidered coat with embroidered in gold thread, fairly elegantly dressed, but the man himself looking kind of tired, with a very wrinkled face, much more tired than his outfit. He's looking at them as well.
Okay. And he's sat near them, or?
He's standing near them.
Okay.
And you see, after a while, he starts taking a few steps towards them, approaching.
Okay. I watch curiously, but I make no move to interfere.
Janina. Abelard approaches the table where you sit with Nastya.
I curiously glance at him.
He stands sort of a few steps away. His hands are behind his back. He's looking towards the two of you, and as you glance at him, he says, "Excuse me. Would you mind if I interrupted you for a moment?"
No, of course
I
not.
wish to speak to you, and if possible, and he glances towards Bea, your friend there as well.
Yes, of course. We can talk with you. Do you want to talk here or somewhere else?
I'm okay with either option. I'm sorry, miss, he says to Nastya. I do not mind your company, but I am not sure if you can help me in this matter. And Nastya says, it's all right, I don't mind. I can wait for you, she says and smiles at you, Janina.
Okay, then I will excuse myself and go to catch Bea and bring her back to Abelard, and then we, I guess, decide if we just find a corner there or just go somewhere else. And I walk towards Bea.
So Bea, you're looking in that direction and you see the men approaching them and then Janina heading towards you.
Okay. I stay seated with Rahela and wait to see what happens. I make no move to get up.
I will walk very, very close to you and hi, darling.
Hello.
How is Raquel?
How are you?
Oh, sorry, I thought she was.
No, she's still there.
Okay, then I take it back because I
Rahela is there.
Like ask this. I really thought that she. I don't know.
She's there. She's kind of hiding behind.
I'm sorry.
But you do see
she's
her.
hiding so well that I couldn't see her. Then I will just. Okay, yeah. I'm taking that back.
No, that's fine. No problem at all.
Hi, Bea. There is Abelard, and he wants to speak to both of us.
Okay.
I don't remember him. It's Marcel and Dominic's.
Oh, okay. I'll look to Rahela. Well, apparently I'm in quest.
I'll be all right.
Okay.
I mean, not, but you know what I mean. Thank you.
I understand. And you know where... do you know where to find me, normally?
I don't remember if she does. I think she knows the room of Janina, at least. So she would nod her head.
Yeah. Well, if you need to find me or anything, just let me know. I'm here for you. And I'll excuse myself.
I will look at Raquel, and if she looks at me, I just again nod at her.
She nods at you again, and looks
and excuse myself
after you as you're leaving. But she doesn't stare, and then she just sort of turns away from the room, looking very straight ahead. And you walk up to Abelard. Shall we find a quieter place, just in case?
Yes,
of course.
Lead the way.
All right, and he sort of moves outside to just leave the Elysium.
Fair enough.
As you were leaving, you see Mihail stand up and walk towards Rahela. Moving on.
Thank you for that.
Moving on. You leave the Elysium with Abelard.
I'm occasionally glancing between, sort of, to Abelard, kind of wondering what this is about. His name vaguely rings a bell, him being Marasire. There's a bit of feeling of, yeah. I guess there's also some sort of feeling of less unpleasant emotions towards him, but I don't know what they're about.
And he leads you outside. He walks along the corridor a little bit, and almost as if he wasn't quite sure where he wants to head, but eventually takes you a little bit downstairs to some of the sitting or cafes areas that is now empty. It appears to be closed. There are no guests in there. And he sits. He grabs a chair and he offers chairs to both of you. Please sit.
I'll take a seat, cross my legs, put my hands in my lap.
Now I imagined Bea sitting her legs spread apart like a man.
Yeah, that's not really in her remit.
Yeah.
But I imagine it for a moment.
So you sit down, and Abelard looks to both of you. Thank you for agreeing to speak to me. I wanted to ask you a few things. Both of you tried to protect my child. Why? Were you close to him?
Sort of, yes. He was close to Mara. Mara was her sister.
He kind of looks a little bit confused when you say Mara. And then, it's a moment of reflection. It's something clicks. Yes, of course. I remember you. You were her friends.
Yes, we were.
I can't say...
Sorry, continue.
I can't say that I was close to him, but he is a member of the Camarilla, and I want to help as many of us as I can.
If only that was a more common sentiment.
Well, it's true here.
Well, he was my friend. I have fond memories spending time with him.
I intend to find him and get him back.
We can help. We really want to help.
Well, I was hoping you were mentioning that, and he looks to Bea, you saw and recognize who took him. I was hoping to learn more from you.
I'm going to spend a point of willpower to recall that, because I don't right now.
You... You or Bea can't recall.
I vaguely recall.
Yeah. So just to make sure you do remember using your gifts to look at what happened in the room where Dominique was taken, got some of his blood, well, some of the blood there, some of the what went on there, and you saw men that you previously saw at the house of Zimishi, where you looked for Oscar. You saw this man there. You remember him mostly not speaking, but staying by Zimishi's side all the time. And you saw him throw Dominique over his shoulder and take him away.
As I kind of grip my teeth and force my way through my memory, I will then look to him. Yes. One of the agents of a Zamishi believe he was a bodyguard of sorts. He was the one who took your child.
Do you know where they are likely to take him?
I can potentially figure out where he is at the moment.
Well, I'm sure Janina remembers where the haven was. That we
Yes,
were
you remember where the
visiting.
haven was. Bea remembers this at the moment as well.
Yes.
I will tell him that I know the house that we were invited into.
If we want to be certain, I can double check.
I would appreciate any help I can get.
Very well. And I'll reach into my bag and pull out a map. This is a slightly unorthodox method, perhaps, but it's worked in the past. Tell me about your child. What kind of a person was he? Focus on him.
He was a genius. He had a talent to die for. And passion to go with it. He was magnificent. And when he talks about Dominic, you do see this is this very much admiration. He very much focuses on his talent for dancing, and he describes some of his performances. He describes when he watched him on stage and watched him practice at the theater. It's very much focused on the physicality, the movement, the awareness of the body, the skill that came into his performances.
Okay. I'll then turn to Janina. And more recently, what was he like as a person?
I probably look at Abelard for a moment, maybe a bit judging him for not talking about his child's personality. And then I'll turn to Bea and tell her he was a very soft, sweet person, cared about Diana, Sian. And I could see that he was hurt. He didn't let it, I guess, eat at him. He was trying to enjoy the life that. And I glanced at Abelard and back to Bea gave him.
Okay. I then turn to Abelard and I take off my locket. I'm going to use this to try to find him. As your blood related to him, if you could perhaps provide a drop. And I hand the necklace to him.
He's a little bit confused by this. But then he's like, sure. And he kind of for something and he just bites the tip of his finger.
I'll then press the locket to blood and then raise it over the map and close my eyes, focus on the image that I've been given and the blood that's there and try to locate his child.
Roll your perception and awareness with difficulty 8.
Okay. I'm going to... Yeah, I'll spend a willpower on this.
All right.
That's 4 successes, including the willpower.
That's 4 successes.
Mhm.
So you focus for a moment on what you're doing, the movement of your hand holding the locket, on the descriptions given to you by Abelard and Janina. And you open your eyes at the moment when it seems right, and you see the drop falling from the locket, the drop of blood falling. You see it almost about to fall and then dropping very quickly, and it does indeed drop at the place where you thought it was going to drop. And you see it splash there a little bit, and you can smell the vita in the air. And you look into one red drop of blood on the map, and somewhere in its shapes, you do see, almost as it collapses, it is reshaping itself. It is changing. You see that, and you see certain harmony in it. And you learn that there is a change happening to the person you're looking for. But it's not necessarily harmful. You had 4 successes.
Yes.
Okay. But then, somewhere deep in this drop, in the way a black ink on the map and the redness connect, there's this sharp angle, and underneath this harmony that emerges, you see a potential for pain somewhere in the future, related to this person, to what might happen with them. But you're not quite seeing more details on that.
I turn to Janina. It's as we suspected.
Abelard is leaning over the map. So did they take him there and he's pointing to the drop of blood on there?
Yes. Of that I'm certain.
And you knew that even beforehand. You know this place.
We've experienced it before.
What are we likely to find there?
I have a mental image of Oscar.
I turn to Janina because, I don't think I can remember the details at this point.
No, not of that.
And I'm getting mentally tired at this point.
I guess I'm just, let's say, nothing good. I don't know how much time we have. From what I've seen there, I think we have to hurry to even have a chance. And I will probably describe vaguely, but practically what happened to Oscar, to Abelard, what we saw.
He's listening, and as you're listening to him, he's listening to you, sorry, as he's listening to you and you're looking at him, roll your perception and empathy with difficulty 8.
Both of us, or just Janina?
Just Janina.
Okay.
I have, what was the difficulty?
8.
Okay, I have 1 success, I have 1 time.
You have 1 success, so you look at him. And as you do, you sort of focus on him. You see he's visibly, he's listening very intently. and there is a little bit of fear. Maybe like this feeling of losing hope for a moment, but then determination on his face. And you see that as well, Bea. And Janina, as you look to him, you do see around him this faint, almost glow or aura surrounding him. It doesn't really have a color. It's very pale. You're not quite sure what it is.
Okay, I'll probably get distracted with it a bit. But if he asks me a question, then I will just shake myself and continue.
He asks you questions about the place and the people that might be there. Is there anything you don't want to tell him of what you saw there?
I don't know. I will probably tell him everything because I want to have the best chance to save Dominic. So I will tell him everything that Bea told me about what she experienced while connecting to Oscar. So I will just tell him everything that I can. I don't think I would just hide anything because I really want for us to have the best chance.
And he listens and says, well, thank you, well, I will have to make my way there and see what else I can observe, get to know the place myself.
Do be cautious, and I would recommend not going alone.
Yes.
I'm not sure I can count on many people wanting to accompany me on this escapade. I
will
ask...
accompany you, but I don't know how to hide the way you do.
Well, I appreciate that you care. I will not leave him there. We do have sheriff on our side if we want to do something, but we do not necessarily have the Camarilla. If you understand what I mean.
But he's a member of us. Why wouldn't?
Well, many of us were a member of us. Bruno was a member of us, and, well, you saw what happened to him. Didn't make Prince any friends, but it did happen, and not many people interfered either. It's not that they wouldn't get him out if it costed them nothing, but they're not exactly going to storm the place you, and he turns to you, Janina, just described for a nobody. And my child, although a member of the Camarilla, was a nobody.
He wasn't a nobody. He still is a great person. And I want to save him, whatever it might cost.
I don't want to leave another one of us behind. I don't want to lose another one of us.
I appreciate it.
I open my mouth, wondering whether to say the other things that I've seen, and then hesitate and close my mouth again.
Yeah, let him have hope.
He turns, he looks to both of you, and he also roll perception and empathy, both of you, if you care to try to read him.
Sure.
I'm sure. I think I definitely do. What is the difficulty? 6. Okay, I have 2 successes.
I also have 2 successes.
You don't see much. He looks almost like he's considering whether to say something or not. But he doesn't. And he just says, thank you. I believe I'll drive up there, see what I can learn, find my way back. And
maybe just tell the sheriff before you go.
If I can find him, I will. If not, I'll leave him a message.
If we see him, we can let him know as well.
He just nods his head.
And do take care of yourself.
Be careful.
I'll do my best. It got me this far. Although I have no delusions that anyone will shed tears if I were to just disappear. But that's no matter. I need to find my child. Thank you. I'll be in touch. I'm sure we'll be able to use your help.
Before he goes, lose your help.
No, that's not.
That's fine. That's
use
fine.
your help.
Before
Sorry.
he goes, I'd like to activate the. Oh my god! I'd like to maybe do an omen reading and see whether he's going to be okay going there.
Omen reading. Okay.
Yeah.
What do you do? How do you want to read this omen?
I guess I reach into my pocket, feel about through the playing cards that I have there, and just quietly draw one out of my pocket. I don't place it on the table, and I do this under the table so he doesn't see it. And see what card I pull.
All right. Tell you what. First roll, Dex and Stealth. Difficulty 6.
Okay. I have 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. And then roll Perception and Awareness with difficulty 8.
Okay. Well, I have 2 10s. I don't think Insightful applies here, so just that would be 3 successes.
So you pull a card out, and it's terrible with cards. Let's say it's a Jack of Diamonds, and the card is clear to you as you glance at it. There's no disturbance anywhere near. You pull it like almost without thinking, straight, and you see tonight at least it is safe.
Okay. In which case, sorry.
And then, I imagine you put it away.
Yes.
You do see him looking towards you and towards the cards, but he doesn't comment. He just walks away.
Before he does, I do briefly just say to him, "You should stay cautious, but you should be safe for tonight."
Just turns back. I appreciate it. And he nods his head and walks away, leaving you two at the table. And I think this is a good moment for a quick break. So we will be back in about 15 minutes. Please stay with us to continue the story of Bea and Janina. Yes, we will be back after the short break. Thank you so much for joining us and following along with us in the story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome back after the break. Thank you so much for staying with us to follow the story of Bea and Janina. So let's jump right back in. You are in this cafe sitting area. It's not the cafe, the one like downstairs at the entrance. It's one of the other ones in the hotel. It's empty at the moment. It is closed. Abelard has just left, and you're left there, the two of you.
I'll turn to Janina. I have a feeling that
his child has already begun some sort of a change.
Do you think that what happened to Oscar?
I'm going to be honest, I don't remember what happened to Oscar, but...
And I will try to describe it to Bea, like, quickly.
All I know is there's some sort of a harmony, but underneath that there's a potential for pain. I don't...
That sounds a lot like what happens to Oscar. Man, I don't want to lose Dominic as well.
I hope we're able to get him back.
I hope so. Just, I can't. Lost so many friends.
I'm fed up with losing people. And especially... Yes. And I'm fed up of us losing people and the Sabbat not seeming to lose anything.
Maybe because they don't care. I don't understand them.
No. We should head back. I shouldn't leave Mother too long.
I want to go back to Masquerade. I have some work to do.
Oh? What are you working on?
Our way back, I will describe to Bea, Zygmunt, like suggesting and the ideas, and like try to describe it to Bea as best as I can. Better than I in real life do.
As I'm listening, I'm giving her a sort of proud smile. Glad that she's putting her intelligence to good use. It's good to see.
For once.
No. I know that she's a smart young woman. And I feel like so much of the recent night she's just been having to be in survival mode or hitting things. So it's nice to see her get to use her specialties and not have to do it in a violent manner. So I'm proud of you.
So when we enter, thank you.
Yeah.
I hope there will be something to be proud about me.
I'm sure you'll do good work.
I hope so. Nasta's a real genius. At least when it comes to languages.
Don't sell yourself short. You're a very intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
Well, I shouldn't keep you from your work too long.
Mm-hmm. And I chuckle at that. Are you going to go to Raquel?
I'll see what's happening and who's around. Once we enter the room, what's around. Sorry.
So
no, I just want to say that I'm gonna split from Bea and go towards Nastya if she's still
in. So as you enter the Elysium, you see Nastya is sitting at the table, reading a little bit, glancing up, looking around the room. You see Felicia is talking to Jagoda, blonde, plump woman you've seen with the sheriff on several occasions, also talking with Zygmunt quite a bit. And you see Rahela is sitting with Mikhail and Stefania, and she's closer to Stefania, and they are talking with each other very quietly. Okay. You can you can faintly hear it, and it's a language you don't understand, neither of you. You may have heard it before. It doesn't sound entirely unfamiliar, but you can't understand what they're saying. And that's about the landscape there as well. Abelard isn't here. He didn't come back here. Eliza isn't back. Conrad and Magdalena are still in the corner where they were.
Okay.
And as you enter, you want to head towards Nastia, but as you're doing that, Jagoda, who's been speaking to Felicia, just says to her, "Excuse me for a moment, I think she's here." And she starts heading straight for you, Janina. Bea, where are you at this moment? Are you with...
I'm starting to head towards Felicia.
Okay.
Because I think I look around the room and I feel like I recognize Conrad slightly, and there's maybe some slight warm feelings there, but I couldn't quite tell you his name. And so, yes, I'll just head straight to Felicia.
So you look around the room. You would catch an eye of Mikhail Orlov.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives you a smile and gestures for you to come up.
Okay, in which case I will do that.
But let's go to Janina first.
Yes.
So Jagoda intercepts you and says, "Janina, sorry to interrupt. I don't have much time. The prince wants to see you."
Can you please repeat, because my internet again glitched?
The prince wants to see you.
Right.
Okay. Are you okay to come right now?
Yes, sure.
It's nothing bad. Don't worry.
Okay. And I just give her not very smile that is a bit, it's nervous, but I just shrug my shoulders and follow her.
I think if
come on.
Yeah, if I've overheard that, my head did kind of snap back round when it was the prince wants to see you, but I was still walking towards Mikhail.
Full perception and alertness. Difficulty 7, I guess. You're not actively trying to overhear.
No. I've got 2 successes. I've got 2 successes.
You do hear it.
Yeah, that's kind of the sort of and then when it's it's nothing bad, I kind of relax a bit. It's just that immediate moment of
And Janina, you are led to the other exit from the room, going deeper into the hotel. How do you feel? What's going through your head as you are quite abruptly summoned to come see the prince?
I mean, at first I expected it was something bad, and I was just defeated, yeah, okay. But then when Jagoda said it's nothing bad, then I guess I relaxed a bit, but still there's I probably wonder what is it about, if it's nothing bad.
How do you feel about the prince after what happened?
Not exactly great. I think before, I had my reservations about her, but the way Zygmunt spoke about her made her higher again, that I thought that I could respect her, but after what happened with Bruno, there is a bit of I don't hate her, but at the same time I don't really like her, and she doesn't have my respect inside of me. I might act like I do, but it's not real, because she really disappointed me with what happened with Bruno.
All right. And you are led outside the Elysium, and taken not to the room where you spoke to Prince before in her office. You're still staying on this floor of the hotel, and Jagoda stops in front of a door and just tells you, just wait here for a moment.
Sure.
Sorry to drag you here like this. I have to get on to other things in a moment, so I was just leaving when I was told to find you. But it's nothing bad, don't worry. I hope you'll be able to help. And then she turns towards the door, like not waiting for you to reply, and knocks at the door, and there is a response to enter, and she kind of leans inside and says, my prince, Primogen, Miss Shivak is here. And you hear Zygmunt's voice saying, of course, come on, let her in. We're waiting. And the Yagoda gestures towards the door for you. And lets you inside.
I'll come inside. And if I see like Zygmunt and the I will like, slightly, not really bow, just bow my head, not like whole body.
And you enter, and you do see Zygmunt sitting in an armchair, and you see the prince, Katarzyna, standing. It's a very small room. There's only a few chairs here to sit. And you see she's not sitting right now. She's standing by the window, looking out, but she turns towards you as you enter. Do you acknowledge her in any way?
I will probably like say to both of them, good evening. I will nod my head.
And Zygmunt says, Janina, please take a seat. We want to discuss some matters with you.
Simply take a seat. Well, looking at between Zygmunt and the prince.
And you do that, and we'll get back to you. But in the meantime, Bea, you approach Mihail, and he gestures to a chair next to his armchair for you to sit.
I will smile at him and take a seat. Good evening, sir.
His voice, yeah. Good evening.
I hope you're well.
As well as any of us can be in this sad, sad hour.
Of course.
Thank you for your care for Rahela here. And he glances towards where Rahela is speaking with Stefania. Then turns to you and raises his eyebrows slightly. But there is one small matter I must bring to your attention.
Of course, sir.
I appreciate the compassion and care you showed for Count Grabowski yesterday. And I appreciate how hurt he was and how in need of acknowledgement and comfort. But, my dear, you are not to use your gifts while you are at the Elysium.
Of course. Thank you for the reminder, sir.
Of course. I'm sure you meant well, but there are certain rules, and I know you understand the importance of rules,
yes,
don't you?
I understand that, sir. I will. It will not happen again.
I'm glad we got that cleared up.
Of course, sir.
That would be all.
Thank you very much, sir. And I will stand and politely excuse myself.
And he gives you a nod and then turns towards Stefania and Rahela.
I will turn and head back to Felicia.
And you head back towards Felicia, who is evidently waiting and clearly heard what was said and wasn't the only one. And she comes up to you. Oh, Bea, I'm glad you're back. And she sort of grabs your arm and hugs you a little bit closer.
Okay. Should I make another self-control check to let her do that?
I think so. You had only one success, so that's why I will ask you to do it again.
Yep. I've got 3 this time.
All right, yeah, you'd be okay for the rest of the night, I think, with that.
Okay. There's a brief moment of surprise as she goes to touch me, but I rein it in pretty quickly, and I'll lean into her.
Not many people to talk to right now, but I conversed a little bit. I saw you did the same.
Yes, of course. Shall we take a seat?
Of course.
I'll lead her over to one of the tables. There's this part of me that's worrying about her standing for too long when she's hurting.
Yeah, you can see the sort of relief as she gets to sit down.
I'll keep a hand on her shoulder as we're sat.
Says, I might need to go back to my room soon and lie down.
Of course.
But I'm glad you were here to accompany me.
Yes, of course, Mother.
I spoke to Jagoda, one of her hounds, in a moment. I don't know how much you've heard. Janina went to see the prince. Apparently there's some task for her. Some research and...
Oh, yes. She was
some resources she has access to, apparently.
She was telling me a little about the work she was doing with Nastia, I say, and glance over in Nastia's direction.
Nastia sort of looks towards you, but she doesn't approach.
I'll smile at her.
And she will smile, and then go back to reading some of the papers in front of her. You see her also take some notes.
I'll explain a little bit of what Janina explained to me, but with far less technical knowledge. It's the very vague concept.
Yes. Well, she listens like, oh, that sounds very promising if it was to be actually possible.
Absolutely.
I'm sure we could use this kind of reserve at the time like this when so many people got hurt.
I'm glad that she can put her talents to good use, and I'm glad that she can help us.
Of course, she's a very smart young woman.
Yes.
If only she actually took the time to think sometimes.
I give a knowing but fond smile. A sort of, yeah, that's Janina.
Well, I'm sure. She'll do very well at that. She was always hanging around some hospital or other. Even when we found her, there seems to be, well, maybe something to keep her attention as well, make her focus. I hope it will help her, and I hope she will be able to achieve something.
Yes. I've lost a lot. I hope we can gain something. I'm sorry, I spoke.
And she kind of strokes your hair a little bit. I know. It's a difficult time.
I still feel like I'm looking for someone. I feel like I've someone I'm still worrying about. I can't remember who, though, but that's... I'm sure they'll show up at some point.
I'm sure they will, or you can look in your journal. Should have a lot of the answers for you.
True. And I'll pull out my journal while we're sitting there and start having a look.
And she will just sit next to you, holding your arm. but not interfering, as you are glancing through your journal. Janina. The prince turns to you. Miss Shivak, there are a few matters I would like to discuss with you, but first of all, I heard that you were one of the people who helped capture our prisoner, and I thank you for it. I can see why your Primogen speaks so highly of you.
I really just wanted to help save as much as there is possible.
And I appreciate your dedication and willingness to help. I'm afraid. Sorry? You were.
Oh, I don't know. I honestly forget what I just said.
Okay. Well, then she continues. I'm afraid I have to ask your help again. When you were introduced to me, you said that you had contacts that could help you provide us with some vita, some blood. We're in need of it now more than ever. As I'm sure you know, many people have been hurt and need to heal. Please use your contacts to get us what you can.
I will try to. My contacts and gather some blood, because last time I spoke with him, I think there already weren't as many. Like blood, stored blood, but maybe we can reach out to more other hospitals nearby. Maybe he will point me to some other hospitals with bigger reserves.
Are you saying all that? Sorry.
I guess.
Dolores, could you move your mic a bit closer to your face?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries.
I just keep forgetting that I'm just like talking to Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I probably say that I will figure something out and I will contact him and try to figure something out. I don't think I will go into much details.
Yeah. She just says, please do your best. And of course, another matter is the one of the blood bank. She glances to Zygmunt, that Mr. Ray wants you to create. He assured me you are the best person to do it, and I have no reasons to doubt him.
I look at Zygmunt probably for a moment like, wow.
He smiles in an encouraging manner. With a certain pride
you overestimated me.
in his face. The prince continues. Try it. This would be a great asset for our future, if you were to succeed.
Yes. Me and... What was Nasty's surname? Sorry, if I know him.
I don't think you know her surname.
Okay, then I will just say Nastya. And hope that the prince will know who I think talking about.
She nods her head. Zygmunt just says, Nastya, of course, might provide some assistance, but Janina is the primary trained medic here. I wouldn't expect Nastya to have that kind of knowledge.
Janina just thinks about just her like field work as she did. So much responsibility.
Prince listens to it and says, very well, Miss Shivak. If you could, for the time being, prioritize getting us some sustenance. Mr. Ray assured me that he saved some specimens for your research, and for a few nights you should hold out. Our resources are very stretched at the moment, but come to your Primogen if you require any further assistance. I'm sure he will explain all the details to you.
Of course. I'll just wait. If she releases me. Or...
She does. She says, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Friends, have a good evening.
And Zygmunt, as you're leaving, says, I'll speak to you later, give you all the details. In person or through Nastya, if you need to leave to take care of this more urgent matter.
Have a good evening as well. Yes, I will get right to it. And I will leave the room and try to find my way back to the Elysium. Find Nastya.
Well, you will find it without much problem. What are you thinking about as you're leaving?
Well, I don't. There's like this pressure that I feel that they like overestimated me, that I'm not as smart as. And that I will I really want to succeed in this, because even if I feel like so about Camarilla, I want, this is like a good thing. This will help Kindred no matter like where they are, so this is good for everyone. So I really want to make this work. And also I'm a bit like skeptical about finding more sustenance with like Witold, but let's try.
And you can make your way back to the Elysium. It's not a very complicated way. But in the meantime, Bea, as you are sitting with Felicia, you're looking at your journal. Are you glancing up at all?
Yes, I'm not like wholly zoned in on it. I'm still keeping an eye out because I don't necessarily want anyone to see what's in the journal.
Yeah. Do you want to say what draws Bea's attention, what's on her mind the most from what's in the journal? Is she thinking about it much, or is she just registering the facts?
A little bit. I'm glancing through it. I'm mostly looking at what happened around the time of the attack. I'm reminded about Cornelia and Antoni, who I don't have any notes of finding anything more about him. So I'm worrying about him, and I'm occasionally glancing up and hoping to see one of them walking into the room, but I guess I'm just worrying about the state of things. I also catch a glimpse of the comment about Arik being a prisoner, or maybe not being a prisoner, but certainly the fact he was incapacitated, and wondering where he might be.
You're wondering. All right. Is there anything more to that wondering?
I don't know. I hope that he is brought to justice.
Okay.
I don't necessarily need any further petty vengeance. I've already stabbed him. But I don't know. I would like to see him brought to justice for his crimes. And if I could maybe speak to him to ask why the hell he betrayed us, then that would be good. But it's not my highest priority.
Well, as you're thinking about it, you do notice Edwin Cernovsky, the Tremere, enter the room. with his child, Joachim. And as Joachim says something to him and then turns towards Conrad and Magdalena, Edwin is heading for you and Felicia.
Okay. I will straighten up, close the journal, and greet him politely.
He greets both of you with a slight bow. Just Mrs. Peszko, Miss Woźniak.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I wanted to speak with you, Miss Woźniak, but it's no secret. I was tasked with interrogating our prisoner that you helped capture during the attack on our stronghold here. Mr. Lubomirsky told me to ask you if you'd be interested in joining me and assisting me. This is not an order, he insisted I tell you, just an invitation. But if you are willing, I will welcome your skills and your help.
I would very much like to aid you in this matter.
Excellent. Are you able to read minds already?
I have the ability, although I'm feeling a little drained tonight, but I can certainly make it a go, but
I'm not going to get to this tonight. I was thinking tomorrow or night after. That should give you some time to recover.
Excellent. Very well.
I know my child, and he glances towards Joachim, wanted to speak with you as well regarding a matter he discovered that might interest you. I see no objections.
Very well.
Thank you for being willing to assist.
Of course, sir. Whatever I can do to help.
He smiles slightly at that. Please have a pleasant rest of the night.
Of course, sir, and you as well. And I will glance over at Joachim and wonder what that's about.
And Felicia looks just to you, and she just kind of smiles, and real perception and empathy.
Okay. Difficulty 6?
Yes.
I have 2 successes.
You have 2 successes. You're not quite sure what's going on through her head, but she says, I should probably get back to my room. I hope you will join me there later. I wouldn't want you to stay away. And she kind of squeezes your hand a bit tighter as she says that. But I
take her hand.
I can't be here for much longer. I'm sorry.
Of course.
And you have things to get to, and I have things to think about, I suppose.
Of course, Mother. I'll be back tonight. I'll be back before morning.
Please. And she squeezes your hand.
Do you need any help returning to the room, or?
Oh, no, I'll be all right.
Okay.
I'll be fine. And she stands up very carefully and starts walking towards the exits.
I think my eyes follow her the entire way out, just to make sure that she's all right.
And around this time, Janina, you enter back into the room.
Okay. If I glance there, I will smile at her, but I will go towards Nastya.
So you go towards Nastya, who is smiling at you as she sees you. How did it go? I overheard a little
I
bit.
sit down. I sit down and I just whisper everything to her.
Do you share any of your fears or insecurities with her?
Not here.
Not
I will
here.
do it
Okay.
later.
Okay.
Oh, you're learning. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just gonna tell her what the prince asked me to do and about the blood and our research. And I will also tell her that they really want me to start on the trying to get us more sustenance as soon as possible. And also I forgot to retract 2 blood points at the beginning, so I'm at 5.
So you do feel a little bit.
So I also
agree.
have to
You're
go
not. It's not
hunt.
too bad, but
Yeah.
blood is definitely on your mind.
Yeah, I
As
will
you're
definitely
talking
tell
about
it.
this.
Yeah.
And Nastya, as you say, that says, of course, I'm sure many people need to heal. You could use some of that yourself, couldn't you?
Yeah, I definitely could. I think how late it is right now.
Oh, you still have time to try to go somewhere. Like it's not hasn't been very late. Like you've had some conversations, but it's only been like a few hours. There's still and it's November, so there's it's late for quite long. There's still quite a sizable portion of the night left.
I would tell Nastya that I want to probably go hunt, and I want to go to the hospital to assess the situation with the blood that we could somehow got from the hospital, and if she wants to, she can accompany me.
Of course, yes. You promised to take me to a hospital. She says, and she's smiling.
Yeah, I know. I remember that promise.
And I'd rather be around when you're feeding, just in case.
All right.
Also, somebody needs to make sure you actually drink some more and heal. Once we're getting the resources. Should we take a bag or something that would help us carry?
Yes, that would be great. I'm also going to ask Bea if she wants to come along with us. I don't know if she doesn't have any plans. And just excuse me for a moment and I will get up and go towards Bea. No, Felicia left, so Bea if she's alone.
So, just to see, Bea, as Edwin left and Felicia left, you see Janina entered and went to talk to Nastya.
Okay. I've glanced up, looked, seen that they're talking, just assumed that they're discussing research. And I have glanced back over at Joachim to see whether he's looking up at all. If he's still deep in conversation with people, then I won't bother him just yet. But if he looks...
He is looking. He is evidently glancing towards you.
Okay. If he's indicating that he wants to speak, then I'll get up and go to him.
He sort of makes a gesture and then says something to Magda, waves hand on her, and starts walking towards you as well.
I'll meet him halfway.
So, Janina, you do see Bea just going to talk to Joachim at this moment.
Okay, then I will slow my pace. Because I'm already. Was I already
No, you would have seen it before you stood up.
Then I will just glance and say, "Oh, okay, let's give her a moment."
Nastya will give you some of the notes that she took for you from what she's been reading, just written down in Polish.
Okay, I will.
Some of them are definitely I don't understand. I don't know what this word means. But you can sort of get a gist, and you can deduce a lot of what
Okay,
especially the medical
find,
terminology that is similar between many
It's-
languages. You can deduce what it's about.
If I get any ideas about what, like, something that sparks my interest, then I will like make my note next to hers, like, to remind myself.
Your intelligence on medicine. Difficulty 8 to sort of see how well your grasp on all of this is.
Not good. I have no successes.
Well, maybe you're distracted by Nastya, or
she's too pretty.
Too gay to function.
Yeah. So you glance at it, but you can't quite focus at the moment.
Yeah.
It's you sort of know, but it doesn't connect at the moment. You think if you really focus, it probably will, but you can't seem to find that in you right now.
It's just like look at it and then probably just start to tell her about the hospital and how is the most effective, like what kind of bags we should take, and if she has any.
I'm gonna see if she has any idea.
Or if she has
but no, she just well, it would be probably jars. You actually know that there either would be it would be stored either in like glass jars, or
I remember
there is also the like dried blood that it sometimes just gets stored in a dried form. And you saw at some point Oscar, actually, when you first met him, then mixing it with water and making you like drinks and shakes in this way. So you know that's also something.
It's also gross.
Yes. But not for Kindred.
I know.
And and you would know that. Nastya, when you ask her, it's like I'm really not sure. I never had much to do with any of that.
Okay. I'll show you
around. This she gives sort of smiles, like, well, you promised. And she laughs a little bit, just slightly giggling.
Yeah, I will giggle with her and occasionally glance to Bea to wait till she finishes, so I could catch her before she starts talking with someone else.
I'm just too popular.
Yes.
Social butterfly. At least tonight.
Yes. At this moment, at least. So Bea, you meet up with him, who comes up to you. Beatrice.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sure my sire mentioned I wanted to speak to you. Hence your glances. Yes, I found something. I really think I should show you something that you need to see. To give you a little bit of a background, I've been tasked with piecing together exactly what happened at this fine establishment during the Sabbath attack. Pretty time-consuming tasks, lots of wonderful sights to keep in my memory forever. But somebody has to do it. I could use your help with some of that, actually, if you'd be willing.
Of course.
But that's not all I wanted to mention. There is a thing I found. I could try to describe it, but I think it's best if you go and see it for yourself.
Very well.
It is a bit gruesome. It might be a bit shocking. Just be warned. But in this time we live in, that just seems to be every day.
Indeed. Well, thank you for the warning, but I should be all right.
Sorry, where are my manners, of course? How are you keeping this night, empty as this question might be, because none of that is doing well?
Exactly that. I'm doing well, all things considered, I guess.
Well,
and yourself?
I don't know if that's much or nothing at all. Well, all things considered. But in my opinion, that's not much.
Indeed.
Your friend seems to want to catch your eyes as well.
Very well. Do you wish to show me this thing just now, or do you have a more convenient time?
I can wait for some time with this task. The sooner we get to it, the better, as you know.
Yes, of course.
The fresher the trail of what happened, the more we can see.
No, I understand, and it's important. I'll go speak to Janina and see whether... I'll get back to you in a moment.
I'll wait.
Thank you.
I suppose a welcome break from gruesome sights.
Well, maybe I can take some of the... carry some of the burden for a bit.
Seems to be how we socialize, you
Absolutely.
and I together.
Sharing is caring.
Indeed. And he smiles in this...
I smile back.
Ironic sort of manner.
Yeah, it's very much sort of a dark humor sort of situation. Since I get the feeling like he'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I will turn to Janina and excuse myself briefly and then head over to her. Hello, darling.
Hi. Don't worry. It wasn't any trouble. Friends.
Oh, good.
It was about the research. About my contact at the hospital because we sustenance.
Of course, yes.
And me and Nastya are going to get to the hospital tonight. I also need to feed on the way. And I wanted to ask if you wanted to join or if you had other plans.
I glance back to Joachim briefly. There's a task that is somewhat... Time is somewhat of the essence. And I'm sure you're more than capable of getting blood without me. But best of luck. Do you want to borrow my bag for the evening, if that would be helpful for transporting anything you get?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be great.
Okay. And I'll reach into my satchel and pull out a couple of things that are going to take up, or at least more useful to me than to Janina. Make sure there's a bit of space and then hand it to her.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Return it undamaged.
I'd appreciate that.
I can't promise anything, you know.
I carry a lot of junk, so I'd appreciate it back. But yes, and you take care and keep an eye out.
You'll get keep an eye on each other.
Yes,
and you stay safe as well.
Of course. And I give both her and Nastya a smile.
Let's check with each other later tonight.
Absolutely. I'll be going back to Felicia's room tonight. She's still very shaken.
That's understandable.
Okay.
We will stop by.
Good. Don't be a stranger.
Good luck.
Thank you, and you too. Now turn back to Joachim.
So you had to Joachim, and you. Now I assume you're leaving with Nastya.
Yes.
Nastya will take the notes and say we should probably not carry that with us.
Yes, of course. Let's leave it in our room, my room.
Do you think She glances to the bag. Do you think that's enough, or will we need more?
Let's look around my room if we can find anything.
I have something. You take that. I'll meet you downstairs.
Maybe Mara had some bags around.
I can bring something if you'd like. I have a rucksack we can use.
Okay, that's good. So let's meet up in the lobby in like 50 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I will
then
take the paper notes.
To the hospital we go.
Date. And I wink at her.
she pauses for a moment and then winks back at you. And you do leave the note and meet up with her downstairs outside the Hotel Bristol. And you see that she's like put on a sort of short coat. She doesn't need it, but that sort of will make her not necessarily stand out. I assume you have something as well. Yeah, and she's carrying over her one shoulder what looks like a military style sort of like sack.
Fashion icon.
Absolutely. And you head out to... Where are you headed? Are you headed to the hospital where Witold worked in Praga district?
Yes, I think that's the first place.
All right.
And I will try to hunt on the way if there will be an opportunity to sneak behind someone in a dark alley and jump them.
All right, well, roll your wits and alertness, difficulty 7, and let's see.
Oh, good. I have 5 successes.
Nice.
From 6.
No problem at all. You do see, as you're walking, it's very easy. You do see you cross the Poniatowski Bridge, and as you're heading more into Praga district, the night, it was very clear when you got up. Now some clouds are coming in. It's a little bit darker, and you do see a man smoking a cigarette, just sort of whistling to himself. Fairly young, looking to me maybe in his early 20s, wrapped in a quite old-looking, patched-up short jackets, fairly dirty trousers. He just turns into one of the side streets. You're fairly certain there's no one around in this area.
Look at Nastya and I just tell her that in case I won't be able to stop, that she has the permission to punch me.
And she hesitates for a moment, and then, do you tell that to everybody?
No.
Well, go ahead before he runs away.
And I will just run up to him sneakily.
Are you trying to sneak up on him, or are you just trying to jump him and overpower him?
I think I will try to walk really fast behind him, but not necessarily like hiding. And as when I'm in the jumping distance, then I will jump.
Roll your strength and brawl just to see if you can hold him in place and overpower him quickly enough.
Can I add my potence to this?
Yes, absolutely. You add your potence to this.
Okay, then.
Oh yeah, and remember you can add willpower as well.
You can always spend willpower.
I'm only 2. I'm saving it.
Fair enough. Fair point. Well presented.
What was the difficulty? Sorry.
A 6.
Okay, then I have 3 successes.
That's it's harder than you thought it would be. He's stronger. You got quite used to being stronger than most people, and you're easily stronger than him. But he's stronger than you expected, and you have to sort of force him down a little bit, but without much of an issue. After that, you can overpower him and bite into his neck, and you feel the taste of Vita in your mouth. And please roll your self-control. Difficulty will be 7 for this.
Oh, no! I had success, but I also have 1. No! So no successes.
All right then. Well, will you... As you now realize all this talk about blood, how much you wanted some, and it's so tasty, and you lose yourself in it.
Of course I do.
And please roll your strength, roll potence again.
I hope not is strong enough.
How many? Difficulty 6.
Okay, then I have 5 successes.
Jesus Christ.
You got 4. I thought you didn't do too badly. But because you didn't botch, you can, you feel someone pulling at you, wanting to take you away from this sweet, sweet Vita that you really want more of. You feel how hurt you are. You want more of this. But you can, because you didn't botch, spend a point of willpower.
My poor willpower. Okay, I'll spend it because I don't want to cause any more trouble.
And presumably you don't want to kill the man.
Yeah, exactly. That's the trouble.
There's your trouble.
So you have to sort of leave very quickly. So just lick the wounds closed. Go.
Yeah.
I'd say you can get. I should go to you very quickly. You can get 4 points of Vita for this. But you have to remove yourself from the area. You can't sort of hang around to see, because it will start coming back.
Yeah. I will probably just, when I'm trying to remove myself and running away with Nastya, I will glance towards him just to try to look if he's alive.
He's alive. He's unconscious. You didn't kill him, but he's unconscious.
Okay, I'm leaving. Somewhere around the corner, or just enough so I couldn't see him.
How are you feeling with it, having lost control again?
Well, I think my first thought is just that he's not dead, that he's still alive, that I didn't kill him. That's the first thing that I think about. And then, of course, I'm mad at myself a bit. Maybe because I wanted to do well in front of Nastya. So there's a bit of embarrassment, but I'm glad that it didn't end up worse than it did.
Nastya sort of pats you on the back with her hand. I'm glad I came with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you were there. Sorry.
Well,
I'm just so hurt and so thirsty, and it's just all the talk about blood. I wasn't able to stop.
Oh, we'll save some of what we find for you. You need to heal, and you'll be very hungry when you heal, probably. And we need to take care of you.
Yeah, let's go away. Let's just go to the hospital. The sooner we are there, then I hope the sooner I can get myself healed up and fed up without hurting anyone else.
Lead the way, she says.
And I grab her hand and swiftly walk with her towards.
She's holding your hand. You see her smile a little bit, glancing towards you, and you walk towards the hospital. Bea. Joachim, as you join him, says, so, are you ready for more? I feel bad doing this. It's quite a gruesome scene.
It's fine.
Me popcorn.
Nothing. Well.
I just genuinely think it might be of interest, and you might be able to understand more of it than I do and get an idea of who's doing that.
Okay. Well, whatever help I can provide. Let's get to it.
Well, to some more sharing. And he
Absolutely.
leads you one floor up and into one of the corridors between different hotel rooms. And you see he shows you the place where some blood is still splattered on the wall and on the carpet a little bit. And says, well, here it is.
Any particular area you would recommend me focusing on, or?
He sort of gestures at the blood. That will do it.
Good. I will go to the wall and run my fingers across the blood, which I presume is dried at this point.
Yeah, it's absolutely dried up.
And activate Spirit's Touch.
Roll your is it perception and empathy? Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, it is perception and empathy. Difficulty for this, I think, will be 7.
Okay. Does Insightful apply?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
I think it might for this, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 successes.
All right, then. No problem at all.
Oh, good. I can enjoy this.
Yes. So you focus on the blood. And you see yourself walking along the corridor, looking around. And you see some men coming, looking a little bit scared from the opposite direction. And you see your own face change to this terrified expression. You see yourself come up to the man and grab his arm and start saying something. And the man, you see him wrap his arm around you, start leading you sort of forward in this almost protective fashion, at which you see yourself getting out a knife and stabbing him in the side and pushing him against this place at the wall where the blood splatters. And you see yourself stabbing the body repeatedly, again and again. Some of the blood stains your face, and you see a smile on your face, a very joyful, wild smile and a bit of laughter. And something in the smile, as your own face turns towards you, looks familiar in a way that incites anger in you. Some person that causes you to react with anger. And you almost see underneath your face a faint hint of lighter blonde hair, a little bit differently shaped face, and a different clothing, much more summery, frilly sort of dress.
I come to with a mixture of irritation that she wore my face for this, disgust, but pride that I was able to see through it. I don't feel comfortable going through my journal massively next to him, so I guess I'll spend that willpower to recall who she is.
You remember Mina, you remember her from when you were all held captive by Sabbats. Now that you spent willpower, there is this memory of her tormenting Janina specifically the most. You remember her from the school where Estera died, and you trying to kill her and getting so close, but her getting away. And you remember her studying your face and looking at you around that time and trying to mimic you.
I come to. Oh,
I know her. I say
Well,
with irritation, sitting down.
suspected there might be something there.
Charming individual. Blonde woman, wears a summer dress. Cruel smile. Believe she goes by the name Ermina. She's one of the Sabat's people, shockingly.
Yes. How shocking to find one of those on this task. I'm sorry I had to spring that on you. I figured it's best if you see. And, well, I worried any sort of warning from me could interfere with your insight, possibly.
Of course.
Or impose expectations.
No, I understand entirely. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to look at that. Is there anything else you're needing help with?
Yes, we have to make our way through a lot of this hotel.
Well, if you need any
doing more of the same. I've covered up there when you did your heroic deed. He sort of pauses for a moment.
I laugh with a little bit of embarrassment at that, because I think I've read about that in my journal.
My sire, he asked you to join him on interrogation, didn't he?
Yes.
Are you sure you're okay with that? Are you sure you're up for that?
I want to see this man brought to justice, and any benefits that we can gain from his interrogation. Well,
I'm not sure there's much justice to be had in the world in general, but I'm sure information and gain will be something my sire will be after.
He is a traitor, and I hope
Indeed.
that he'll be treated as such.
Oh, I have no doubts about that. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't mean to imply you're not up for it.
No, and I appreciate your concern. But no, I have a vested interest in making sure that he's at least brings us some positives. I say, and there's a bit of a humorless smile as I say that.
Well, I'm sure my sire will appreciate your help. For now, I would as well, if you're up for more scenes of...
Well, why not?
And he just gestures at the blood.
Why not? Start the night as one means to go on.
Yes, nice things to burn themselves in my head forever. I covered most of the former Elysium. I wanted to look at the corridors behind it. I know some of the Sabbat when there will one in particular, if you'd be willing.
Of course.
And then do the general
sweet
survey of the area. I know my sire asked me to have another look at where he fought the Simishi, just in case I noticed something he missed.
I'll help with whatever areas you need. I guess we could both start at opposite ends and work our way to the middle.
Absolutely. Which one do you want?
Do you have a preference?
I thought we might work together, support each other.
Of course.
These abilities, they're not
always foolproof.
Super reliable, and
of course. That makes
you
sense.
might see more than I see in some aspects.
I might also miss things, so a second pair of eyes is always beneficial. All right. Do you want to start with the Zamishi scene, or shall we start with the back corridors?
Any preferences? I was leaning towards corridors since they're closer. I'm trying to make my way downstairs.
That makes sense. Well, let's go.
let's get to it,
Indeed.
shall we?
Of course.
And he does lead you to where the Elysium used to be, and you see some of the broken furniture still there, some ashes on the floor, some blood splattered around the room. This clearly hasn't been cleaned yet. Doesn't look like many people entered here. And you see him step in a way that he clearly knows by now to avoid stepping into the ashes or patches of blood.
I pause, hesitate more than pause, and glance at the piles of ashes, but I'll follow him, and I'll keep an eye on his footsteps and take care to not disturb anything.
And you get to the corridor behind, and you start just to sort of not go through every single roll me the general
Vibe.
the general vibe of perception and empathy. Difficulty is 7 for this.
Okay.
Actually, I might heal while we're walking.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I will
No problem
heal
at all.
1 point of damage, just so I'm not on 2 penalties. I forgot I could do that.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. That was...
Didn't think to remind you of that specifically.
It's fine.
but-
I've done it now.
Yeah.
Okay, so perception and empathy.
Yeah.
And was it difficulty 8 still? Or-
No, the 7. It's not
Um,
that far back.
Okay. That is 4 successes.
That is for successes. And all right, so you focus on different points of the corridor. What you see nearer the door to the Elysium is the darkness covering this area, obscuring your view completely, and then you move forward in the corridor and try again. And Joachim is just going with you, just kind of picking very methodically, clearly having already the method to it, to what check where pointing you towards the next places, pointing you to like some steps on like where there's still a sign of a boot on a carpet, or if there is like a little bit of splash of blood somewhere. And you see later, further down the corridor, you're no longer in the darkness as you're there. You'd see the darkness enveloping the door to the Elysium. And you see emerging from it a figure enveloped in shadows, a figure wearing the robe of a priest with a rope tied around the waist. Familiar looking, definitely eliciting some emotions. You would actually remember, you spent willpower recently on some Irmina-related memories, so let's say you remember the priest, Florian.
Lucky me.
Who offered you a place in Sabbat, and then
I think I've got some of his blood as well.
You do. So
I
there
do.
is this very strong recognition there, yes.
Oh boy.
And you see his figure, but it is enveloped in shadows as he walks. And his face looks paler, and his features look like the shadows on his face are deeper, giving the whole face this more distinct, sharper look. His eyes are almost completely black. And his dark robes, land almost into the darkness that wraps itself around his form as he walks. And his form is disappearing into some of the darkness, and some arms emerging from the darkness wrap themselves around him, and he walks along the corridor. At some point later, you do see someone take a bayonet and try to slash at him. Some men, probably a ghoul. And you see the darkness just extends from the figure and envelops the man. And then when it lifts, he's lying there, his face gone kind of blue, his hands are wrapped around his throat as if he's suffocated. And further down the corridor, you see Florian just without even paying much attention, making much of the effort, have some of these arms of darkness around his figure just grab and smash someone else, another, probably ghoul, against the wall as he keeps walking. And you and Joachim are moving along the corridors, sort of observing these different scenes. Roll, as you're doing that, perception and occult, with difficulty 9.
Does insightful apply?
Yes.
Then that's 3 successes.
All right, then. Well, then you sort of follow him into various rooms. You see that Florian, wandering around the area a little bit, going into various places, as if looking for something. But at some point, as you're once again seeing his figure, your eyes, your attention fixates on the darkness that is enveloping him, that is with him. And you can't see anything inside in there, but you can sense someone in there, a presence, someone. It's not quite present right here with Florian, but it's somewhere there behind him, looming over him, waiting there in the deep, suffocating darkness. You get this sense of patience and waiting and looming and following the figure that you're observing.
I think
not following, but maybe following is the wrong word actually,
waiting?
but being behind there, behind somewhere.
Okay.
Further
in.
I think as I see this sequence, I'm sort of drifting away from wherever it was I started focusing on, and I'm now staring at this scene and staring further into the darkness, and maybe just standing in the middle of the corridor looking very intently at this one spot until the vision fades.
And it does, and you're back in the corridor, and you see Joachim is still looking at something, and then he's ready to move on to the next sort of place, unless you want to say something.
I think I've occasionally been stopping and telling him what I've seen when he's not in the middle of something, just so that, because I'm aware that I might not remember everything by the end. So when it's not intrusive, I'm giving him updates. And as he looks ready to move on, I'm feeling a little shaken after that one. I'm not necessarily hiding it either. There was the darkness that followed him. There was a sensation of something or someone further in there looming, waiting, looming over him.
Weird. Another of the Sabbat.
I don't know. It was. I just got a presence in the void, I guess. As helpfully ominous and cryptic as that is.
I'll make sure to report it along with.
Add it to the many cryptic notes.
But it's exactly the kind of things I would not have seen. And it might be of importance. So thank you. And you're welcome for the charming side. And he smiles.
You take me to the nicest places.
Don't I? Such a gentleman. And he just sort of laughs and rolls his eyes at himself, and then continues. And you do continue. And you eventually, together with following Florian, find what used to be the prince's office, which you might not know, but Joachim makes a comment about that.
Okay.
And you enter, and there are some furniture broken there. It clearly has been a scene of a fight. Okay. And I'm not going to make you roll for this specifically. I think it's just going to follow from you had very good rolls for all specs. So for this specific scene, I'm just going to treat it as one sort of occurrence.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And you do see Prince standing there in her office, dressed in a grey suit. And you see Florian entered in his form enveloped in shadows, with barely minimal size of humanity left in his whole posture. And you see Prince turn to him and raise her eyebrows and give a very, very faint smile and look straight at him. And you see him ask something with intensity, with certain almost impatience, start saying something, and she just looks, and there's slight mockery in her face, and in her poise. And roll your perception and occult again with difficulty 8.
Ooh. That's another 10 there, so 3 successes.
All right. So as you look at her, you for a moment, again, it's like a vision within a vision, you fixate on her, and you see this sky and background behind her darken, her whole surroundings in darkness. You feel the ground shake, you see a whirlwind going through her surroundings, through the room. It's not quite the room now that you see, it's this very abstract place that's shaking and being just moved and torn apart by this wind and enveloped in shadows. And you see her standing there with the same poise. And you see that although the ground shakes, the whirlwind crashes against her, she doesn't flinch. She doesn't falter. And she keeps looking, and you see her eyes looking towards the future. Almost, not oblivious of what's happening, but unmoved by it, not allowing themselves to stray. And as you get back from the vision, you again see her in the room, in the conversation with Florian. And later, as you examine the room and some of the broken furniture, you do see Zygmunt, the Bruja Primogen, come in, and Florian smiles at that and tries to jump at him, but Zygmunt just punches him out of the way. Some of the darkness grabs at him, he throws it off, going for Florian, hitting him again. And you see a little bit of this fight in which Florian is very clearly overpowered, and eventually you see Florian running away. And Zygmunt not quite pursuing, but leaving the room.
I take a bit of enjoyment in watching Florian flee. It's the only enjoyment I'm getting out of this. Okay. Watching the vision of the prince, there's an amount of respect that I gain for her through that. I'm still a bit shaken. Well, I'm still very shaken after what's happened with Bruno, but I can respect the dedication and the looking to the future and the resilience, I suppose.
All right. Interesting. I like that.
But yes, I will. I don't necessarily feel the need to share that bit with Joachim. I don't feel it's necessary to the investigation. But everything else I will share.
And he fills in some of the gaps, and together you piece this image that I described of what happened. Meanwhile, Janina. You're all right there, Dolores?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get to the hospital. As you are getting there, you do walk past St. Florian's Cathedral. Were you first? You not first came across the signs of Sabbat, but you came across very clear signs of Sabbat, and you first met Rahela, who pointed you towards Camarilla. And you walk past this place. It's not far from where your old haven used to be.
Sorry, just have to remove the cat because he's distracting me. So.
Oh.
Okay.
Well. All right. Well. And you get to the hospital, and you are outside.
Okay. So now I have to think about my plan. My plan.
Nastya asks you, so what's the plan?
Well, I know where they keep blood. So I guess it's gonna be harder than I was here with Bea, Mara, because neither of us can hide. So
I found in my time that if you walk somewhere looking confident like you belong there, people don't tend to question you.
It's true. Yeah. Well, I worked here, so I guess we can try to. I already pretended to be nurse. So we can just, and I know that all the hospitals are in dire need of nurses, so we can pretend to work there and grab.
We could try sneaking in if you know the way.
I do.
But we can just try to walk past, whoever.
I also want to be told my contact here. Maybe we could. I don't know. Maybe you could point us to other hospitals in the vicinity where we could gather more. Do you have any other ideas?
Well, I think we should go for it and grab it if you want to speak to your friends. Of course, let's go there. I don't know how likely someone is to throw us out. I would say, if in doubt, pretend we're talking about some patient.
Okay, let's decide on some name, the most common name that could be.
She proposes something, and let's just walk in.
Okay, let's just walk in and we pretend to belong there, and we get a chance. I know where they store the blood. Okay. Chin up.
Ready?
And be confident. Yeah.
She sort of straightens.
I will look towards the reception if there's the woman that I remember being there last time.
Let me check.
Oh no!
That wasn't very, very. Like,
She's not there.
nice.
It's someone
Yay.
else.
Yay.
There's a different woman there. Just sort of sitting there, reading a newspaper.
Okay, I will walk toward to her.
As you do, Nastya sort of grabs your arm and she's gonna try to direct you to not even walk up to reception and to go inside.
Okay. Then I will just go. I will follow with her lead.
Just roll your charisma and what would that be? Subterfuge. Your charisma and subterfuge. To see how well you can pretend. Difficulty will be 6.
Oh, I have 2 6s. I have 2 8s.
You have to 8. Let me look for Nastya. Okay, and just she's not. Okay, so the woman sort of looks towards you, and she raises her eyebrows a little bit, and like for a moment you think she might question you, but then she just sort of shrugs and goes back to her newspaper. You get the feeling she had some suspicions like about what you're doing there. You weren't necessarily super convincing, but ultimately it was good enough that she didn't really care.
Okay.
She's not paid enough for this.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to walk towards the storage room where I remember that they kept the blood before.
Yeah, you can get there, no problem.
Is it locked?
It would be, yes.
Okay, then I will try to gently break it. unless Nastya knows how to do it.
No, she sort of moves to try to like break it as well.
Oh god, we sent 2 Bruja on a diplomacy mission.
Okay, then I will just try to break the lock.
Right. Roll strength, potence, and I think I will give you stealth for this, assuming you don't want to make a lot of noise. Or do you not care? Like,
No.
How much of a bruja are you about this?
No, I care. Little works here. I care. Okay.
Sorry?
What was the difficulty? Sorry. What was the difficulty?
To break this door, I think 8.
Okay. I don't want to say it, but I have no successes and I have a 1.
Oh my god.
Let's see how Nastya did, because she was helping you with this.
Okay.
So let's see how well she's doing with that.
No, I genuinely thought you were going to talk to your contacts, but no, that was my mistake, I guess.
I mean, Nastya said you could just walk there.
Do you have to do everything that Nastya says?
Yeah.
You're whipped.
That's not here.
Damn it.
So Nastya got 2 successes. So I'm gonna say that it will be between the 2 of you enough to break it, but you do like she obviously saw you being very strong earlier, but now you kind of like stumble almost as you're doing it. Like you slip a little bit of something. And she manages to sort of catch you so you don't make a lot of noise. But you're not very graceful in this.
Oh no, you have
and a little bit of noise got made, so you have to be sort of quick if you don't want to be caught there.
Okay,
but she does manage to open the door.
I'm embarrassing myself on my first
You really are.
Okay.
Let's have that one do that.
I just go inside and just quickly try to just apologizing while I'm trying to find the blood, and if I find it, to put it into.
I mean, there is blood stored there. You can take it. It's the question of how much do you want to take.
Well, I won't take as much as we can, but I want to leave at least like few behind for emergencies.
So if you were to fill up the bag and fill up the rucksack, you would some would be left, but it's not like super well stored. Like it's not a super well supplied place at the moment.
Yeah, I know.
You can take more of the dried stuff. It's easier to carry as well.
We definitely take everything that we can.
So it will be left pretty empty, and you know that someone might need this blood, and that might cause.
I want to leave at least like, I don't know, blood enough. I don't know, like if it's in the jars, then at least like 2-3 jars to leave.
You can do that, absolutely, but you know it's very likely it won't be enough, and it will cost someone their life.
Okay. So how many blood I can take before to feel like there's left enough for other people?
Well, you do know, and you know it very acutely, that whatever you take, like, you know, it's not a super well supplied place. Yeah. You can take few jars without it being like in an emergency. There will be no blood suddenly, someone will die, but that will, you can quite easily tell, not be enough for the Camarilla, unless you want to like explore other options later. But
yeah, we definitely. I want to like check other hospitals after.
You see that Nastya is sort of packing stuff up.
I just like, wait a minute. Let's take all the dry blood and just a few jars. You know, we will ransack another hospital.
Are you sure we're here already?
I know, but you know, I know we need the blood. Camarilla needs the blood, but there are people who might need it. This is a small hospital.
I mean, it's not a small hospital. It's just not very well supplied. That's part of the issue. Okay. Why it's such a big sort of issue to take some away.
So let's just get all the dry blood in a few jars, and we can explore other options. Let's say there weren't any left, that we took all we could.
Don't think that would be. I mean, it's up to you ultimately. I worry that they will. I mean, they probably have some kind of expectations. I don't know what you told them.
I told them I do the best I can. And this is not the only hospital that we can try to sneak into.
True.
I would just feel.
Won't they be able to get it from a different place?
What do you mean?
Or if we take it, won't someone just resupply it from a different hospital?
Well, I think this hospital is really badly supplied. At least that's what my friend works here. We have really issues with it, so I don't know.
I think you would know enough, like you're not super well versed in what the situation is right now, but you can sort of, from the state of the city, make that probably all the hospitals are poorly supplied in the city.
Yeah, but I would feel better if I took a bit from other hospitals.
Oh, no, I just mean that like what Nastya is saying, that they will just sort of give it, you think people, unless it's like an emergency and someone, out of the goodness of their heart, manages to also in time like get it to somewhere where it needs to be. People also try to guard the resources, the institutions.
Okay. I will relate this to Nastya. I don't know what to do.
I mean, it's up to you. I'm happy to. It's your area, and I don't want to. I just worry. Like, you should drink some of this right now and probably heal up a bit.
I will drink some.
It's up to you.
I'll just take half of it from this.
So what is your decision? Do you try to live enough and have not that much for the Camarilla?
I will just take all the dry blood because I think it's less useful immediately. I don't know how.
I think it would still be useful. Like, it's just sort of, it's all part of the supply.
Yeah, but it's, if there's like emergency, they might need like fresh blood, like from the jars, not the dry blood that needs.
Yeah.
This feels like less. It's like good supply, but it doesn't make me feel as bad as taking the jars of blood that could be immediately used. My Dolores medical knowledge is like zero, so.
Well, it's like this. Like, if you take.
I didn't even know that it's like a thing.
I researched some of that, but like, yeah, like you, so yeah, I didn't know any of that, but like, what I'm trying to kind of explain here is that you can take it, and that will leave hospital with some, but you feel very strongly, it's maybe in an emergency, if you leave all the jars, it won't be like, there will be some left, but you're significantly still affecting their supplies, and you will have that knowledge. If you start taking some more, like all of the dried and some of the jars, you're going into this might jeopardize someone's life very soon territory.
I don't know what to do, like, honestly.
Do you want a moment to think about it?
No, let's not. Just I think Janina just takes enough that she still wants to, especially at this hospital where she is has hospitaled and pretended to work here. It was another hospital that.
Yeah, it was a different place where you pretended to work, but your friend is working here.
Yeah. Okay, so I just don't want to. I apologize to Nastya that I can take more. Let's go to the other hospital after that.
Sure. Yeah, we can try that. And she will put some of the stuff away. And if I understand correctly, you leave them enough to be sort of more or less well supplied, and take not that much for the Camarilla. Okay. Yeah, that's perfectly okay. So you take some of it, you pack it into your bag, and you leave. You leave without much issue. As you sort of leave the room, soon after you've left, you see someone go in, and it's a woman. She sort of gives you this curious glance, but then she just goes in, clearly not having time to deal with you. And Nastya sort of pulls you, all right, let's get out of here now. And you get out of the hospital. How are you feeling with this whole?
Well, I feel bad because I just wish the blood supply was better, bigger, so we could take it without me having to think about the people that might need that blood.
Does the idea of a blood bank fit into those thoughts somehow?
Yeah. I just And that was better to come by, easier.
And you leave the hospital to decide what to do next. Meanwhile, Bea, Joachim comments, well, I certainly enjoyed seeing him getting his ass kicked at least.
Yes, that was one positive we can take out of the evening.
That I'll carry with me with joy. To kind of counterbalance
all the horrible things.
All the horrible things. Shall we? Let's get this out of the way. Do you want to see Ezimishi?
Well, why not?
Yeah. Never the answer I expected so. Here, give to that question, but here we are at this moment.
Might as well. Just add it to the list of horrible things.
Let's. And he leads you towards, like, further down, more almost towards the basement. And in that scene, you first see, he would sort of, like, he just looks and says, like, he was here. And roll your, again, perception and empathy, with difficulty 7.
That is 4 successes.
So you do see Zimovit, Zimishi, who killed Mara, walking down the corridor, calmly, slowly. And at some other point you get the description from Joachim that he saw Antoni trying to fight him, trying to just position himself, giving few shots. And you do have a look and you see that, and you see Zimovit get hit with a bullet and still just keep walking. And then you see him approach Antoni, and you see a little bit of a fight going on there. And Joachim describes to you that Antoni was easily overpowered. And how many successes did you have? Sorry?
4.
4, okay. And you do see Antoni in the next scene being held by Zimovit, his body dried up as if he'd just fallen into torpor, his flesh disfigured under Zimovit's fingers as they go inside. It's not quite wounded, it's distorted. Then Joachim indicates to you that this is where the Malkavian showed up.
I think as he speaks, it kind of rouses me from this, because I'm watching this with horror. I think this is affecting me more than most of the other things I've seen so far.
Absolutely, yes.
And kind of staring at Antoni. And
you see him drop to the ground, a torpid, disfigured body.
There's almost an urge to catch him.
And Joachim looks to you. Are you all right?
Fine. I'm probably not hiding it super well.
Yeah. He pauses for a moment, but he doesn't pry. He just points like, Yeah. That's where he was. And then he sort of, as you were sort of staring, he walked around a bit and he explained that, like, his sire was around there as well, trying to get Magdalena and Conrad out. Do you give it another go? Do you go back in?
Yes.
So as you go back in, you do see Leonard, his very thin, malnourished form, ran out, and you see him screaming something as Zimi, she turns with this disinterested, haughty expression. And roll your perception and occult again with difficulty 7.
It's only one success, the one that took it away.
It's one success, but that is enough to get some sense of what is going on. So you look to Leonard, and you see his senses extending forward, and you feel a little bit of his fear and anguish, and you get an echo of the screams filling his head as Antoni's torpid body falls to the ground. And you get the sense of this pain and grief, the never-ending, suffocating dread rushing forward, following. His sense is like a wave that envelops everything around. And you did succeed. So please roll your self-control with difficulty 6.
Uh-oh. Oops.
0 successes.
That's 0 successes, baby!
So you feel this wave feel you and stir something in you, something primal that wants to run, that wants to tear things to shreds. You remember Antoni being hurt. How does that make you feel?
Angry, frightened, protective.
And with those feelings, you seem swell in you and get warped into something more primal, more aggressive, more vengeful, as you lose yourself in the emotions filling your head. And to give you the signs of happens, you fall into frenzy.
Oh, good. Spicy.
Yes. Yes. And that's what I meant with these emotions that rise up, driving you to lose control.
Good.
Janina.
Janina's far away.
You have left
unaware.
the hospital.
Are the bags that we are carrying, can we fit more, or we should stop at the hotel to drop them?
Oh, you can easily fit in more.
Okay.
You came prepared. You just didn't stock up.
Okay, then I guess I'm trying to. How far is the nearest other hospital?
Roll your wit and streetwise, let's say, maybe for knowledge of the city. No, well, your actually wits and medicine is gonna go off that. That's how you know of hospitals. A difficulty 6.
Okay, I have 3 successes.
Yeah, you would know. If you think the best way to go about this would be to start getting back towards the city center, you need to cross the river again. You need to get to the other side of the river and find a hospital more in actually area by the Vistula River, where you remember the Sabbath Haven was.
Okay, then we are going
in the past. So you're heading there to get some more Vita for the Camarilla. Nastia looks to you. Well, I hope we can get some more so that they don't take issue.
It's hard for me to do things that that could end up. I don't know. It's silly, I guess.
I know. I just worry about you. I think you should drink more. You should heal. Like you're visibly hurt.
If we find
Sorry, you got cut off, Dolores. Can you get closer to the mic?
I keep forgetting. I guess I promise I will drink more at the other hospice.
I will take you up on that. And you walk across the city that now the clouds have covered the sky and some snow begins to fall again on this cold November night. I think it might be a good moment to finish on some of the cliffhanger for Bea, unless you are happy to carry on a bit longer. But I'm worried.
Tired, but I'm zoning out a bit, but I'm trying.
Faye, are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that. I can suffer the consequences next time.
All right then. Well, in this case, thank you very much.
If Bea wants to finish her frenzy scene, I'm all for it.
I think it's a good cut-off point for
Let's keep
Bea.
eyes on our toes.
If you're okay with this, Faye.
I see you shiver in anticipation.
All right then. Well, thank you very much for playing in this case, and thank you
very much for running.
Thank you. Thank you to our audience, to everyone who's been watching. It's so great to be back to this story and to be able to continue to share it with you. We will be back to our schedule of playing every 2 weeks. So we will now be back on the 11th of October. It will be the same time, which is 6:30 British summer time. Here on the Lamias channel, we really hope you will join us again to see what happened when Bea frenzied and whether Janina will get more blood for the Camarilla or whether eventually her conscience will not be able to take it.
I thought you say smooches.
Or that.
Making out in a blood bank.
Well.
How romantic.
That seems to be what the vibe is for that relationship, at least for now. Well, so with that lovely end, thank you once again, and we hope to see you with us in 2 weeks, maybe for some smooching. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.